How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. Hope you're having a good day, and welcome to another Pokemon Go video. So recently, Niantic decided to completely disable Pokemon GO Plus functionality as a result of a bug related to Zorua. Naturally, this sparked an incredible amount of backlash from the Pokemon GO community, as many players rely on these devices for their day-to-day play. There are also players who never use these devices who are pushing against said backlash. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. Okay, let's talk about this most recent controversy. So the gist of what happened is this. A glitch that involved Zorua was discovered recently involving Pokemon GO Plus devices. Basically, if you were to catch a Zorua through a GO Plus, it would not transform and would instead duplicate all the characteristics of your buddy Pokemon. This means that if you had Giratina altered form as your buddy, for example, then you could hypothetically get one at a low enough CP where you could bring it into the Great League. Such a thing was considered impossible before, but now this was made possible, albeit briefly, through this bug. Naturally, this was a critical error on Niantic's part. Before extensive damage could be done to the competitive landscape of the Go Battle League, they reacted quickly and disabled any functionality from Pokemon GO Plus devices and disabled a large list of legendaries from being eligible in the Great League. Now, this only affected a small number of trainers, but Niantic's decision to completely remove all GO Plus functionality as a response affected millions of players. A lot of people do rely on these devices for their day-to-day gameplay. Having them completely removed from the game, even temporarily, would be a huge detriment to how these players have been playing the game for the past few years. What made matters worse was that Niantic did not make it clear that these devices were disabled. I noticed some players in my local community actually went out and bought new GO Plus devices, even though there was nothing wrong with their current one. This obviously created a lot of frustration, as players were not fully aware that their devices were not faulty, and it was actually the game itself that was preventing them from catching Pokemon through those devices. Of course, not everyone has been using these devices, and there are some players who are pushing back against this backlash. I noticed on social media that certain players believed this was not a big deal, that a lot of people were playing the game without these devices to begin with. Thus, they think this is just a way for those players who have been relying on these devices to experience the game the way everyone else is. But I disagree with this notion. Players should be given the choice to use these items if they so choose. It is not something that hurts anyone else, and it is something they paid real money for. It's not like it's spoofing or multi-accounting, because this is an official thing from Pokemon Go itself. It's not a third-party method for cheating, but it's players paying a good chunk of money for convenience through legitimate means. Of course, some people point at auto catchers as being a form of cheating. These include third-party modified GO Pluses like the Gacha. I can't argue against this notion, considering that it is in fact a violation of the terms of service to use them. But disabling all GO Plus devices as a whole doesn't just affect Gacha users. People need to realize that most players out there are using legitimate GO Pluses, and to punish everyone because of a handful of people who use auto catchers just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, ultimately, I can understand why players are unhappy about this. I myself don't often use a GO Plus, but I was using it for this particular event because of the candy bonuses. I also tend to have a GO Plus active while I'm at work, so I can still catch Pokemon without having to look at the screen. I really think this whole Zorua situation was just critically bad. If it were up to me, I would have disabled Zorua spawns instead of disabling GO Plus functionality. I think that would have been the smarter move as opposed to frustrating the Pokemon Go community this way. They clearly need more time on developing Zorua's release, and they should have delayed it to fix these sort of issues. Yes, I do think this particular issue that sparked the removal of GO Plus functionality was a critical one. This is something they do need to fix as soon as possible, but I don't think they should have disabled everyone's GO Plus in the meantime. It just seems like Niantic is too reactionary as of late, and they really need to take measures that are calm and collected. Like I said before, they should have disabled Zorua instead, and that would have been way more understandable by the Pokemon Go community. I also want to reiterate what I've said in previous videos, that Zorua's release wouldn't have gone down so poorly if Niantic actually had a good internal QA team. It's pretty evident that there is very minimal testing going on when it comes to Pokemon Go. These sort of issues just keep happening with every single update, and there have been so many reproducible bugs outside of Zorua that have persisted in the game for so long. If they haven't done so already, what they really need to do is invest in better quality assurance. That will ensure that these sorts of issues don't fall through the cracks, and it will allow them to dodge further backlash like this one. At this point, Niantic really needs to get their act together. There's so much potential for this game to be so much better than it currently is, but it is constantly getting held back by issues like these. And regarding this GO Plus issue, I really think Niantic needs to make it up to the community in some way. They need to recognize what kind of impact this decision made on so many players who use these devices. It's not as simple as re-enabling it once they fix Zorua. They need to give players a reason to have a sense of good faith in the company, and they could do that by extending the candy bonuses and simply communicating better. I mean, the Pokemon GO Community Manager actually gave her take on the matter, and it did rub a lot of players the wrong way. Rather than explaining the situation and giving players a timeline on when they would get this functionality back, she seemed to unintentionally stoke the fires even more. She stated that it was interesting to her to see players have to play the game without them, like it's working out without equipment. Players are clearly unhappy about this functionality going away, and it's honestly not helpful to make the case that the game is better without them. This is just my constructive feedback on the matter. Players just want answers and explanations, not opinions. I really hope Niantic bounces back from this, but that's going to be up to them. At the very least, they should tell the community when they estimate we can use our GO Plus devices again, and they should also ensure that something like this won't happen again in the future. They've been on such a downward spiral this year when it comes to community sentiments, but all of this is salvageable. I really hope they start moving in a better direction after this. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I brought up that should generate a lot of discussion. Thus, leave your thoughts regarding all of this down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And if you ended up enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.